Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of GM Fantasy. I'm Paul, and in today's video, we're going over episode 4 of the GM Fantasy Charter League on League Tycoon. So let's check it out. Alright boys, this week we got episode 4 of the GM Fantasy Charter League. Last episode, we left off with the Week 8 matchups. Now I was going to do another update after Week 12. However, things started getting a little busy in my life, and I just didn't have enough time to do it. I figured, we'll postpone it. I'll do a video all the way up until the playoffs start, which is this week. Take a look at that and, see who got into the playoffs. But before we get into the video, guys, if you guys can do me a huge favor, especially if you guys are liking the content, if you guys can like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop some comments in the comment section. It would help the channel a ton. I would really like to get this channel growing, and I definitely need your guys' help to do so. I made a call to action last video and I got a great response. I got a bunch more likes and, a bunch more subscribers. So super thankful for you guys that subscribe. Thanks a lot. Welcome to the family. And, stick around, guys. We got more things to come on the channel. I got a lot of ideas for the upcoming year. So if you guys want to see more of this, subscribe to the channel. We got a bunch of content coming out. And, I'd be happy to have you guys aboard. Let's get back to the video. And don't forget, guys, we still got that free contest going on. It's essentially a carbon copy of the league you're about to watch right now. So if you guys are interested, stick around to the end for the details. All right, guys. Like I mentioned back in episode 3, we left off at week 8. So we're going to start off here at week 9. And as you can see, I ended up taking a loss to Tristan from 140 to 116. If we look at the matchup, my quarterbacks did okay, but his did slightly better. And when it goes to the skill positions, his players just did better than mine. Not much I could have done other than put Horton in, but I don't think I would have made that decision, knowing which starters I had. I did not expect Odunze to put up a donut. And I think I preferred the rest of my players over Horton at that point. So, ended up taking a loss, going down to 6-3. Not a big deal, still in the playoffs. If we take a look at the rest of the league, Cheeseheads had a great week at 209. Boomwhackers had a solid week also at 193. Danny Dimes took a huge loss. I think that was that's his second loss of the year. And G-Team had a nice victory there. But, so a solid week 9. Lots of action. And unfortunately, I took a loss there. But, maybe in week 10, things will turn around. So, week 10. I ended up going against Danny Dimes, got my revenge from my week 1 loss. Huge over here because now Danny Dimes goes to 7-3. I go up to 7-3. So I think I jumped in the second place at this point in the season. As you can see here, Boomwhackers, another monster week at 200 points. Him too, he started climbing up. Cheeseheads just barely edged out G-Team, and he took first place with this one. So now Cheeseheads is in first place for the league. That was a heartbreaking loss for G-Team, losing by 0.22 points. That's very unfortunate. If we just take a look here, my matchup, not much happened. Honestly, the only real difference makers was Jonathan Taylor. Had a monster week at 48 points, 244 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. It's going to be hard to lose when you have a player go off for that many points. So we'll go off to week 11. And over here, I ended up going against Cheeseheads, and, he beat me decently well, 151 to 139. So he maintains his first place. I go to 7-4, and I think Boomwhackers went into second place. No, sorry, Danny Dimes went into second place with 8-3 after his victory over Jelani. But Boomwhackers also getting a victory helped him go up at least to 3rd or 4th place in the standings. And if we take a look here, both teams did okay, I guess. Just 150. Like 150 is kind of like your average week. So he had just an average week. I just had a slightly below average week, and I don't think there's anyone on my bench I could have really changed. No, Aaron Rodgers instead of, I wouldn't have changed anything. So I was taking a loss in this week, no matter what. Anyway, it happens. 7-4, still in the playoff mix. So still happy about that. And we'll go to week 12. Week 12, I had a nice week at 173. Didn't really have to worry too much against Orange Crush. So take a look. Hurts had a monster game at 44 points. Davis Mills, 22 points is solid. If this was week 12, Bo Nix was on bye. And then the rest of my team did all right. Nothing too crazy, but solid performance all around. So very happy with that performance. Over here, we got Tristan taking out Danny Dimes for another Danny Dimes loss. So that helps us out. Boomwhackers, another win. Him climbing up the leaderboard again. And Cheeseheads took another loss over here. So, keeping everyone close. 9-3, 8-4, 8-4, and 8-4. So pretty tight when it comes to the top 4 teams. I think G team is the 5th place team, creeping up every week. So very solid, very tight, very competitive. You got like 2-3 teams at the bottom, and then you got like 5-6 of us really like battling it out to get those 4 playoff spots. So I'm liking the parity in the league so far. And then when we go to week 13, let's see here. I went up against Boomwhackers. It was unfortunate. I took a huge loss here. I really needed this victory to like solidify myself in the playoffs. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do so. Boomwhackers team is just too strong. Drake May had a great week. Prescott had a great week. HN solid performance. CD Lamb great performance. AJ Brown had a monster week at 30 points. So it's hard to win when his players go off like that. My quarterbacks did okay, and honestly, some of my skill positions did all right. But it's going to be very hard to win when you have guys go for 3.1, 1.8, and like 5.1. So, and I'm looking at the bench. Not much I could have changed really. And he had better performances by his quarterbacks on his bench than his actual starters. So I was taking a loss this week no matter what. And if we look at the rest of the league, Danny Dimes had a crucial victory for them to maintain their spot. G team still climbing up 8-5. Now tied with me. I think I have the tiebreaker with most points though, so I'm slightly ahead of him. And Cheeseheads, and again another solid victory, 171-118. Now we'll go to week 14. Now this is when things started getting really scary. I could have locked up a playoff spot this week. All I needed to do was win my matchup, and then G Team lose his matchup, and my spot would have been locked up. And going into Monday night, it looked like very promising. I had Jalen Hurts going into Monday night. He was done. All I needed was 17 points by him to take the victory, less than that, like 16 something, and he gets me 10 points. The worst performance of his career, I think, or definitely of this season. Up until then, 19 was the worst, and he just decides that this week, I'm gonna have like 5 turnovers and only score 10 points. Super heartbreaking because I thought I had this win in the bag, and then I thought G Team was also gonna lose because he was done at 110, and then Rick Pick 6 had who's Keenan Allen going into Monday night. All he needed was 6 points, and he could only muster 3.7. So when I woke up, I was expecting to be locked into the playoffs, only to find out not only did I lose my matchup, but Rick Pick 6 couldn't even beat the G Team. So at that point, I thought, oh man, it's over. Like he's got the win on me, so if he wins next week, he's in, and it doesn't matter if I win, I'm out. But then I got lucky, and I ended up playing him for the final playoff spot. And so I ended up taking the victory, 165-126. We had the same record, but I have the most points for, so I have the tiebreaker. I get in at number 4. Super lucky. I just backed my way in. Unfortunate for G Team because honestly, he had a good year. He had a solid year, but couldn't take it in the end. And Bo Nix, I think, is my MVP right now, getting me 40 points. Hurts with a little bit of redemption, going to 28. And my skill positions having more or less solid performances. Nothing crazy, but good enough for me to win. If I look at my bench, Rodgers had a good week, but nothing too crazy. I could have played Franklin for sure, but he was losing reps to Pat Bryant, so I decided to bench him this week, but it didn't really matter in the end. And if he played Dart, would it have made a difference? No. So I was going to win this week, and I'm very happy about it. But a little thing though, like when I woke up in the morning, I looked, saw the standings. I'm like, yes, all right, I'm in 4th place. But then when I went to the playoff brackets, I was out of the playoffs, and they had G Team in there, and I was like, what is going on? Like, how am I 4th place in the standings, but somehow he jumps ahead of me and gets into the playoff brackets? So I was just trying to figure out what was going on. Like, this has to be a glitch of some kind. And sure, like I messaged the guy saying, hey guys, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, for some reason, like I'm not in the playoffs, although I'm 4th and I have the tiebreaker. And it just turned out to be, like I said, a glitch. And the administrators from League Tycoon fixed it pretty quickly. So then within a couple hours, I was in my rightful spot as in the playoffs. So very happy about that. Obviously I would have liked to get in there a little more handedly, but backing in, making the playoffs is making the playoffs. It's a brand new season now. That's all that matters. So Thursday game already played. I'm going up against Cheeseheads. And Boommakers went up against Danny Dimes. So we'll take a little sneak preview for the first round. And man, not looking good for me. Already one player in, and he's got a 45-point lead. Matthew Stafford decided to have the game of his career. Well, maybe not his career, but like a really damn good game. 45 points, 457 passing yards, 29 pass completions, and 3 passing touchdowns. I didn't have anyone play yet, so look, it's still anyone's game. Bo Nix or Jalen Hurts can match this, and it's a brand new game. But definitely Hurts going into Saturday and Sunday with a deficit of 45 points by one player. And if we look at the next matchup, we got Boomwhackers against Danny Dimes, and same scenario. Boomwhackers had one player play 40 points. I'm sure you can guess who it was. It was Puka Nacua going off for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns off 12 receptions. Danny Dimes didn't have anyone play yet, so still anyone's game. But man, it definitely hurts when you're going into the weekend with a 40-point deficit. So I'll leave episode 4 at that, and I'll get back to you guys in a couple of weeks with the results and who won the league. Don't forget, guys, we still got that free contest going on. It's a free $50 entry into the next subscriber league on League Tycoon. It's a contract league. It's an exact carbon copy of what we just went over. So if you guys want to try one of these leagues for free, here's your chance. Super simple to enter. All you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, put the word subscribed in the comment section, and then send a screenshot of that to me on either my X account or my email address. And I'll get back to you letting you know you've been entered into the contest. And we will have a draw on August 1st to find out who the lucky winner is. And guys, don't forget, if we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to sponsor an entire league. So we'll have 9 lucky winners plus myself in a 10-man league. So don't miss your chance. It's free to enter. And if you guys were ever curious on how a contract league operates, here's your chance. So get on it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.